Dr. April.
Hey, 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 how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on your show this evening.
Thank you. I hope all is well. You've been doing good. You've been feeling
Hey,
good.
it's Friday.
That's what I said. You know what's so crazy? I was so tired today. It was like I was just dragging myself.
Listen, I understand.
I was through. So, first and foremost, I do want to say thank you for being on Life Hurt Podcast. I appreciate you for sharing your testimony. It's big of you, and I pray that everything in your future will just flourish.
Thank you. Honestly, I want to thank you for actually having us on your show. Thank you so much just for taking the opportunity to clear out your schedule to support. I won't even call this a book project, but to support this mission, this assignment that we have. We are so, I know I'm honored to be on your show. I've had an opportunity to watch my other co-authors and just to listen to them share their stories and how it has blessed so many people. So I'm just so thankful that now it's my turn to finally be able to share my story just like my other co-authors. So thank you for giving us this platform.
Oh, you welcome. This is what it's all about. Just women just sharing everything of their personal lives and let people know that everything in my life doesn't look as perfect as you think it does.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So that's exactly what my mission is for Life Her podcast, so that people will really know the inner side of a woman, because everyone always view us as a strong black woman, but at the same time you don't know the things that we go through, and we do have our weak moments.
Yes, we do. You're absolutely right.
Yes, for sure. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. So my name is Dr. April J. Lisbon. I'm an international award-winning author, speaker, and teacher. By professional training, I am a psychologist. I have worked, oh Jesus, this is my 21st year in public education. So
Wow.
yeah, so I've been in the field for some time. So mom of three, one child who's on the autism spectrum, plus an entrepreneur. So
Oh wow. My one of my best friends, her son has autism also. And it's just amazing how smart they are.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I
You ain't never lied. Things that I didn't believe could ever happen. You know,
Yes.
I couldn't think to be possible. My son is able to do. I'm just do that.
Yeah, they're extremely intelligent.
Absolutely, yes.
So how did you realize that you had a story?
You know what? Honestly, I didn't. I'm just going to be very transparent. I didn't. And what
Hmm.
I mean by that is that I have so many stories that I could tell, but those are the comfortable stories, the stories that I've worked through, the stories that, that a lot of people, well, I won't say a lot of people, but enough people are familiar with. So it would have been comfortable to have written those stories. However, if you know anything about Crystal, just like everybody has said, she will challenge you. And she's like, yeah, no, that's not the story. She was like, I think you got something else. And I'm like, why I gotta be going deep inside my back pocket just to get a story? And so, I prayed about it. I really thought about it because the story that's in the book is not the story that I wanted to tell. I wanted to keep that buried in its grave for the 20 plus years that it was buried in its grave. However, the more I listened to Crystal, the more I looked at the vision and the mission of the book. I felt like this was the right opportunity to share that truth and to share that story. So when I finally did a whole lot of praying and fasting, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I fought it initially. I finally decided this is a story that needed to be told, not only because I needed to be free from it, but I also know so many other young women who have gone through it, potentially may go through it, or are going through that story right now. So I felt like it would have been selfish of me to retain it and not share, my journey through the process.
Yes, I truly understand. So what made you end up like, look, I'm about to be a part of No More Residue book? What prompted you to be a part of it?
You know what? Honestly, I too, just like some of my other co-authors, had an opportunity to be in Crystal's the Shift program as well as Crystallize Your Vision. And when she shared the opportunity in the Crystallize Your Vision, class, I was like, okay, I wanted something different. I wanted something that was more kingdom focused, more focused on me and my story, and not that of my son's story as related to the autism. So when she shared about the book and, what she wanted to be the outcome for it, I was excited about it. I said, you know what? I said, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity that I may not get with someone who I really like, someone who I actually trust, and someone who
Yeah.
I know that would challenge me. So, like I said, when I really thought about it and I really prayed about it, I said, this is the book that it needs to go into. So, but I had to be comfortable with it. I had to be comfortable with knowing that the person that I'm giving my life to, my life story to, is going to take care of it just as much as I've had to hold on to it for so many years.
Wow. So what did you encounter in your story?
So for my particular story, without going too much into it, because you need to go back to the book, right? Listen, I really talk about the process of, what it feels like and what it looks like to have an abortion. And so for me, my story talks about not one abortion, but actually two back-to-back abortions that I had as a college student. And it goes through the process of, the fight that I had to go through with my own mental health, my own emotional state, and even the physical process of what it looks like to have an abortion. And people always think that, the decision is something that's very easy. Some people think that it's an escape. But for some people, they don't have any other choice. And to fight and to battle that particular demon for so many years is what I take my readers through in that particular chapter. You get to see it, you get to feel it, you get to live it, you get to hear the pain that I went through, but you also get to see the triumph. And I think that's one of the things that so many people see from me. They see the picture of the iceberg. So many
Right.
people see the tip of the iceberg, but they really don't know what's underneath that piece of ice. And so in this particular chapter, when I take you through the journey of those abortions, you really get to see what's underneath and would help to build who Dr. April J. Lisbon is today.
Wow. So what was the feeling you had the first time round when you know that you had to get an abortion?
And I'm gonna roll my eyes on that one. You know what? Honestly, I think the first time, because it was the first time, I really didn't know what to expect in the process. So, being in college, you know a couple of people who've had a few, so they have their stories, so they kind of sort of prep you and get you ready. And so, I was prepped well. I went in there like a true champion. I hate to say it, I put on my Tupac music before I went,
Yes.
thugged out, for real. So I was ready for it. I I thought I was ready for it. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
And so when you're driving in the car, you're like, yeah, girl, I got this. I got this. It's going to be really easy. People tell you it's going to be in and out. It's going to be in and out. But what they don't tell you is the coldness of the room. They don't tell you that no one can be in the room with you. They don't share with you the thoughts that go through your mind as you're just like literally laying there, you know, on that cold table. They
Right.
don't tell you any of those things. And so that's the part of the process where I found myself to be like trapped in my own thoughts, thinking about all the coulds and the woulds and the shoulds and the negative thoughts and the degrading myself all on that particular table. And so for the first time, I actually started to believe that I was a failure. I started to believe that, that I wasn't worthy. I started to believe that I wasn't good enough. I started to, feel like, I wasn't doing this process for me. I was doing this to please other people because it would have made them look good and made them feel happy.
Mhm.
And so that then led me down to, a path that, included increased alcoholism, you know,
Wow.
just different things of that nature, but it all started just being in that cold room on that table by myself. It was mentally exhausting more than anything.
Wow. So how was the relationship with the individual you was pregnant by? Did he know what you were doing?
So what happened was, you know, Honestly, the person who I was with, most people don't know my particular lifestyle back then, because I've always been a very, I was a church girl, so I had image to protect. But the first person who I was with, most people will call him a drug dealer, but I call him a street pharmaceutical retail salesman. Um, that's who I was with, at that particular point in time in life. And so, he was hustling. We were in different states. So he really didn't know, what had happened. So it was almost like there was no attachment to it, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah.
again, we weren't together. We weren't in the same state. It just was what it was at that moment in time. Um, so honestly, he did not find out until 2 months ago. Yeah.
2 months ago?
Months ago, yeah. So, I ended up reconnecting with that person, and we just started to have just like a generic conversation of, "Hey, how you doing?" And then
Right.
I was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, let me share this with you." So I can finally get this part off my chest because this book coming out, and I need to make sure I clear everything out in the air. So for me, that was a blessing because, in all honesty, he and I, we've always been cool, since I've been 18. And so for him not to think down about me, for him not to degrade me for making that decision, that really was another piece of healing to help alleviate the residue, that was associated with the first abortion. So yeah,
Wow.
he
So,
did not know until 2 months ago.
wow. So, how did you even like feel like you could just get yourself through, even though, you say you converted into drinking alcohol, but how was your process knowing that you were in college and you still had to go to class? You still had to, you still had to finish your whole mission of being in college.
Yeah, you know what? Honestly, I separated myself. I separated myself from the event. And I just focused in on being that crazy driven, student who was on a mission to graduate within 3 years. And so that's the way how I saw it. I was like, um, although I did not want it to happen, the reality is that if I did have a baby, it would have impacted not only my educational opportunities, but it would have impacted the baby's life, because I knew I wasn't ready to be anybody's mom. I knew the life that I was living. I was like, what we gonna be at in the dorm? That's not gonna work. Um, so I literally separated, if I could have cut myself in half, I would have cut myself in half. And I literally just separated myself from the person who was on that table in the clinic, uh, to the person who was the student, who was the scholar, to the person who was going to change and shift the world for the better. So honestly, how I was able to get through it, I literally detached who I was as a person, from that table.
Wow. So during that whole process of you even going through all of that again, you end up having a second abortion.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So how,
That one honestly was totally unexpected, but it was for a different person, someone who was actually in college just like I was. And like I said, it was just one of those things where it's like, I can't believe how fertile I am, and no offense to people who struggle with fertility issues, because there was a point in time where I struggled with fertility issues after having those abortions. But it was crazy to me. I was like, I had just had one. Physically I was okay, but mentally and emotionally I was not okay from the first one. So to go back through that process, I found myself being in this place where I had to, like, be like soldier up, and be hard,
right,
just to get through the process, because
right,
it was like, you're back here again. How in the world did you find yourself back here again? you
right.
know
In
most
that cold room.
Yeah, in the call room by myself. You knew the routine. You know what I mean? I knew the routine. I knew what to expect, but yet and still I was still back there. And I will tell you, that time I didn't want it, because I was a little bit further along in my in my studies at school. I felt like, I probably would have been able to, have a child at that point in time. But once again, because of the people and just the circumstances and fears of, rejection and being disowned from friends and family, I was like, look, I'm back again. So it was one of those things where I did not want to do it, but I felt like, I wouldn't have had any support. So
Wow.
that then, just was like, the lady asked me, are you ready? And I was like,
Wow.
I cursed a couple of times. I cursed a
I bet you did.
Yeah, I cursed a whole lot. Let me be truthful.
Yeah, I
A whole
know.
lot. And it happened again. And I'm telling you, it was one of those things where it crushed me because I was still mentally, I didn't realize I was how mentally exhausted from the first one I was until I was back there again. And I will tell you that once again increased, the level of drinking that I did because I was trying to numb the pain.
Yeah.
And so in order to, and what I mean by numb the pain is to numb the different scenarios that I would like rehearse and I would script in my head of as far as what I should have said to people, you know, in this process. And every time I got it wrong, I would drink. So
Wow.
it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah. So after you finished college and then you start living your life, when did it start to really hit you? Because you was in college and that's something that you didn't want to do at that time. So once you get out of college and you graduate, your life slows down.
Yes.
You start thinking differently. You're a full-fledged adult at that moment because you're not partying as much and your focus was just on school only. So when did it hit you like, man, I really wish, shoulda, coulda, woulda, or anything?
You know what? When I had my first miscarriage. So as I tell people, my children, all three of my children are rainbow babies. And so for those who aren't really familiar with a rainbow baby is, that's prior to actually conceiving and having a full term birth, you have some type of miscarriage. So for me, um, the first time I had my first miscarriage, I felt like I'm gonna be truthful. I felt like I was being punished, for having those abortions. I questioned my ability to, be a mom. I questioned, my worth. Was I even worthy enough to be a mother? Because the
Mhm.
miscarriage happened, and I associated it back with those abortions. And so once again, I wasn't drinking anymore, thank God. But those negative thoughts, they just sat there, like a heavy crown of thorns. They just sat there for so long. And so for me, that's why this book, No More Residue, is so powerful and it's so impactful because, I finally was able to just let it all out and close the book once and for all. And so really that's what it was. It was just, I needed to get it out because I think if I had kept it on, um, in my mind's eye for a couple more months, a couple more years, I really think it would probably, cause me to cave in. So yeah.
Yeah. And it's so crazy. I wasn't gonna say nothing.
Go on,
But
say
when I my freshman year of college,
something.
I had got pregnant myself and I ended up having an abortion. So now I'm 37 years old and I'm like, I still don't have kids, but I'm having a hard time to actually conceive.
Yep.
To I can't even figure out when I ovulate. A whole month will go by, and I'll be like, "What in the world?" So that punishment that you feel, I
Mhm.
felt that before, but
Yeah.
I had to reverse. I reversed my mindset and
Mm,
to a point where I know I have to have faith for it to happen. I know I can have kids, but it's just that time God when he wants me to really be fully healed from me making that mistake that I felt like I did because I regretted it for so long.
yes. I Trust me, I understand 100%. I do. I really, really do. And like I tell people, I'm so thankful for my three angels, because for me, they came at the right time in my life. Although I still miss my two angels, really, I call them five now, my two abortions, three
Mhm.
miscarriages. Although I miss them, I am so thankful for the ones that I have now because really, for me, are the promise.
Yes.
For so long, I felt like God was keeping me from being pregnant and, punishing me. And I realized it wasn't that. I realized, it was just about timing, and because there's no time limit on how God moves, like you described, it's really putting the faith and trusting
Mhm.
that He will do it in His right time. And the kids
Mhm.
blessed me with, I would not, trade them for the world.
Yes.
Them, I'll put it to you this way: without them, this book project for me would not have been written. So,
Yeah, it's you had that faith there to even just keep trying and keep trying. And it's just it be hard
yeah.
because it's like when you do want it, it's like no, not right now. And then when that punishment you feel, you like, God, what did I do? I'm sorry. You
Mhm.
be begging them like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. I ain't want to right now.
Exactly.
It's like your mind goes to racing on so many emotional levels, and it makes you numb.
Mm-hmm. It does.
It makes you so numb because you would think about it like, wow, my child will be this old
Mm-hmm.
right now if I would have kept him. What if it was a girl? What if it was a boy? It's
Mm-hmm.
like our minds will go 100 miles per hour, and the more we think about it, the more we are hurting our inner self. So
Yes.
that's when your residue released itself
Yes. Yes.
from you end up birthing your own child, and you have three sons right now.
Actually, I have two
Well,
boys.
two boys and a girl. I'm sorry.
Oh, listen. No, 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 because I thought my daughter was going to be a boy because I was like, listen, I'm a mom that's made for boys, and then she popped up, and yeah, that is my twin. She'll never know that. But yeah, she has too much of my personality. And I'm just like, yeah, God, I needed to wait until I was a whole lot older to have children because my tolerance and my patience back then,
Yes.
I mean, no.
Yes, I know that feeling, but it in my mind that I had too was I wanted to be married first
Yes,
and then do have a child. And now that I'm married, it's like now I'm really ready.
exactly, exactly, exactly.
So why do you feel that your story is so important for women?
You know what? I think because this is one of those storylines that, you know, gets a lot of negative conversation about, if that makes sense. There's a lot of guilt that comes with a lot of stigma that comes with having an abortion. And I think for so many women, they feel like they have to suppress their voices, they have to suppress their identity in order to fake good, if that makes sense, for everyone else while crying themselves to sleep at night, while, overeating, in order to numb the pain, as you described. And so for me, I want to show women that, having an abortion is not a death sentence. Having an abortion, although it's emotionally and physically exhausting, it doesn't have to be the end of your life. You can and you have to release this. You have to forgive yourself because once again, no one knows the reason why you made that choice, but it happened, and you can no
Right,
longer stay on that table because if you do, it's going to impact you. It's going to impact you personally, intrinsically, as well as the relationship that you have in the future. And so if you want to ensure that you have a sustainable life and that you are in a place where you're completely whole and healthy, you have to let this go. And so that's why I decided, that why my story is going to be so impactful because it's not only about abortions. There's a lot of things that people go
right,
through that they hide in secret, and that they camouflage themselves in order to pretty, for the public viewing while they're crying inside. And so that's what the story is about. It's about, just being unapologetic, about who you are. Your choice doesn't define you. You define you. You know what I mean? And
right.
so the time, and this is the season where we have to say, I'm done playing charades with people. I'm done trying to please you because first of all, I don't see you pleasing me back. So
Nope.
I constantly, doing this tap dance show just to make you look good. It's not worth it anymore. And like I tell people, if it's not bringing me coins and it's not bringing me a check, then you on your own. I'm going to do me now.
I know that's right. So, how do you feel about the abortion laws that they're trying to bring to the table for women, for us not to have them at
You
all?
know, for me, it's a hard position, and the reason why I say that is because I'm like right in the middle because I've done both. If that
Right.
makes
Yes,
sense.
they do.
So I understand where pro-choice comes from. I understand where pro-life comes from. So I really cannot, you know, say yes to one and no to the other one because I've been.
Mhm.
But what I will say is that, no one should determine what you choose to do with your body. That's between you, that's between who you believe in, and so for people to try and create laws, to me that's a form of control, that's a form of manipulation. And the question is, what are you doing it for? Who are you doing it for? Are you really doing it to protect and preserve human life, or are you doing it just to make a stance just because it feels and it sounds good, in order for you to get reelected? I'm not
Yeah.
a person, but I can
Right.
that's not a real word, but it's going to be a real word tonight. But you know what I mean? It's like you really have to think through, why are you creating these laws and who are they for? You know,
Right.
um, but like I tell anyone, my big thing is, I don't want these laws to come into effect and then we go back to those days where women were inside bathrooms taking a coat hanger and giving themselves their self abortions. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
like back in my mom's days. So you really just have to understand what this is really all about. And like I said, because I have had an abortions and I've had, live births, I can speak from both sides of the coin. But for me, my thing is this, is that they really need to think through the why they're changing it, why they're shifting it. Is it what's in the best interest of the country, or is it more so just to get political votes?
Yes, that is so true. So during the time of you even going through that and you're finding yourself to heal, what are things that you did to create your mindset to shift?
Whew. Wow. So for me, I did nothing. And what I mean by that is, honestly, I when I tell you that I literally like separated myself from the process, I literally cut myself in half, and
Uh-huh.
separated myself from those particular events. And so I really never dealt with it until I was faced with writing it in this book. And so I was already in therapy. Listen, I'm an advocate for therapy nowadays. I was
Yes.
already in therapy. And so as I was in the process of writing the book, a lot of those old emotions that I thought were dead and gone, they started to resurface. And I was like, oh my
This.
gosh, I don't like the way how this makes me feel. So the fact that I was in therapy at the right time opened up an opportunity for me to work through it with my counselor, at the time. And I will tell you, just being able to process that with someone else really helped to alleviate the mental anguish that I would have gone through once again in that cycle, and feeling like, I don't have to bury carry the weight of this on my shoulders anymore. Having gone through therapists and working with my therapist, through it, it just really helped to like alleviate the cycle once and for all. So yeah. So for me, like I said, prior to that, working through that, and that was this year, prior to working through that this year, I didn't do anything because, like I said, when I tell you I buried it, I separated
You,
from it,
yeah,
I
you
separated
buried it. Like you buried the heck out of that.
it. Mhm.
Like
I got,
seriously.
I got everything.
How do you feel now that you released it and you went through therapy and everything? How do you feel now? Do you feel like so much is lifted off of you now?
Yes. And not only so much is lifted up, the narrative that I was like given to myself, it was like, girl, that's not even the story. I
Right.
created more anguish and more hell for myself, because of what I thought people would think about me, because of what I thought people would say about it, that I ended up putting a lot of that weight on myself. And so to finally release it and say, oh, the nail is finally in the coffin, we're not digging you up again. I was like, look, Crystal, what took you so long? Well, you should get back here way back when. Way back when. time, but I was like, God, you could have saved me from a whole lot more stuff, and you would have had uh,
Saying, like I said, God's timing.
listen. Sometimes it can be a little too slow, but that's okay now.
You
No,
know what? That is, I be feeling that way too.
listen, but no, but I'll be honest. Now that it's like, now that I know that it's done. Because there's nothing left to hide. There is no story to hide. So that mental process of where the devil can kind of sort of like get into your head and into your dreams. I'm like, nah, bruh. Listen, it's already on paper now. I'm on the podcast now. I done said it now.
Mm-hmm. It's all said and done.
Said and done. It's all she wrote.
Yes. So, how do you feel now that everyone at least hear a little bit of your secret?
I'm good. And the reason why I say that I'm good is because I know I'm not the only one. I'm just the loud one to tell you about it.
Yeah, girl, listen, you better say it.
Okay. That's just the reality. And so for me, I know that it's going to, because people who know me, they will be like, dang, she really went through all that. Yeah, I went through all that. But guess what? You see the tip of the iceberg, just like I see the tip of your iceberg. So now it's okay. Give yourself permission.
Yes.
Yes, I did that. You know, it's not who I am anymore. It doesn't
Mhm.
define where I'm going anymore. And I have a life to live. And so for me,
Like,
that's what it's about. It's your life. Because anybody got time for that. We old.
you know, seriously. And people would like, they could become so judgmental and always got everything in the world to say. And it makes you be like, so what is your story?
Exactly. Exactly.
Let's
Because
dig up some of your stuff.
I'm like, wait a minute, because I got a whole bunch of stones. Which one you want? Ooh, rock. I got two.
Oh my goodness. So what solution are you going to have now to even be the voice to help other women that have gone through abortions?
You know what? I think the biggest solution is that of, you know, I won't even call it resilience. I will call it giving yourself your voice back. People always say, like, how in the world can you give someone their voice back if they've never lost it? Well, the reality is when you find yourself in a place, in a position where you identify yourself by who you are as a person, but by your situations and your circumstances, then you have lost your voice because those circumstances and those situations now control the words that you speak.
Yes.
Me, my thing is, plain and simple. Listen here, sister girl. I love you dearly, but it's time for you to snatch your voice back. The
Mhm.
situations have already happened, the circumstances have already happened, but you cannot lose your identity. And so that's one of the biggest things for me is to really teach these women how to first rewrite the narratives of the past, whether it's an abortion or something else, and then find their voices back, and do it unapologetically. That's
Yes.
things that I'm so thankful for about Crystal, because she'll tell you, when you get online, you on live, don't be apologizing if you're showing emotions. Stop
Hmm.
apologizing. Why are you apologizing for something that's natural? For something that is a true raw emotion. People want to see that. And that's what I want for the being a solution solver, for a problem solver. It's helping people to say, this is who I am. I'm unapologetic. If you don't like it, you can go ahead someplace else and play a game with somebody else, but you ain't playing it with me.
Listen, y'all better catch up or I'm leaving you.
Exactly. And that and really that's what it's all about because we've been dragging so many things for so long,
Yeah.
that created so much baggage. Now it's time to release the baggage. You don't have time for it anymore.
No, you don't. And people don't even know how valuable their voice is.
Yes.
It's like it's there, but you keep spitting out things that aren't your authentic you.
Hmm.
A lot of people don't even know who they are right now. They are being an image of someone that they see on social media,
Hmm.
someone they admire, or even the fact of still trying to break a cycle from family history of things that continued on. And it's like you got to go so deep into your soul to figure out who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't even know that
Yeah.
right now. And, you know, we could do all that we can to help them, but it's like they have to understand they got to help themselves. And that's even the portion about God, too. God isn't going to help you if you don't want to help you.
Listen.
he he gonna keep pulling you when he's trying, but you not even giving him the benefit of doubt to even respect him,
Yes.
for him to know that, you know, and trust him, believe in him, for
Mm-hmm.
him to even shift you into the person who you really are and who he birthed you to be.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. You're right. You're absolutely right. That's what it's all
Yes.
about.
Yeah, seriously, because it's so much. It's like it's just so valuable for people to value themselves.
Yes. I
And
agree.
if we just stop focusing on the things that's surrounding us and we focus on the healing process of things that we encounter over our lives, it will continue to help us daily.
I agree.
And it's like nothing ain't gonna help you until you help you.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I appreciate about No More Residue. You know, it is a book about healing. You know, you get to see the raw, authentic voices of each and every person. You know, even if you have not gone through the stories, there's something within the voices of those pens and the manuscripts that were written that you can connect with, you know, and it will cause you and force you to want to heal, you know, find those things kind of sort of like you described that are like deep down within you that have not been resolved, and let those things go, because, you know, once again, they're cutting off your oxygen level, they're cutting off your circulation, you know.
Mm-hmm.
For some of y'all, they probably even cutting off your finances. You know what I mean? Because you're just holding on
Yeah.
to stuff that's
Yeah.
literally blocking you, you know, and that's what No More Residue is about. It's all about, you know, unstopping, getting stuff unstuck. That's what it is. Get
Yes.
whatever stuck unstuck. That's what it's all about in healing, you know, and really, like I tell people, that's why this book is out there. It's all about healing, you know, because like I told Crystal, you know, God knows all the people who have cried these tears for so many years, you know,
Yes.
and have been begging for somebody to write the book, for somebody to write their stories, because
Mm-hmm.
they were too afraid to do so. And then here she found these 17 crazy people who said, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Not knowing what we're gonna do, but we did it. And you just don't know how many people are just going to be blessed by it, because people really want to be healed, especially, you know, in the times that we're living in right now. People are ready for real healing, and this is the
They
book.
are. They
This is
are.
how to do it.
Yes. So overall, what was it like working with Crystal?
Crystal, you know what? No, listen. Look at him. I love Crystal. Listen, because Crystal don't me. You know, it was a great experience. What I love about Crystal, Crystal doesn't sugarcoat anything. You know, like I tell people, well, not a lot of people, but that's my favorite saying. Like I tell people, but the reality is that was my first. The title that you see from my book was not my first title. I had something totally different that was nice and neat and cute. And then she had the nerve to call me. Listen, she picked up the phone and called me. She's like, yeah. She's like, there's just something not right about the story. She's like, I don't know what the title was. Something not
You
right.
know, you sound like her too.
And I was like, wait a minute now. I said, holla. I was like, I'm thinking to myself, this is what the people expect from Dr. April J. Lisbon. Now you want me to change this up? Girl, you trying to mess up my rap. What's going on with you? And she's like, yeah, no, nope, that ain't it. That ain't it. And so, you know, I said, okay, I had to just finish listening to Tupac. Listen, Tupac gonna be all up in this book. But I
Give
had
me
to
two
listen
pop.
to Tupac. I said, listen, Crystal. I said, I just got one question to ask. And she said, can I cuss? And she was like, did you cuss when you were there? I said, yes, ma'am. I said, I always used to cuss when I did. And so she was like, well, you know, we'll see what the editor say, but you got to do what you got to do to make it work. I said, yeah, because if the walls could talk, she was like, that's your title. I said, so you got a new title and some cussing.
Yep. The walls can talk.
Exactly.
Dr. April be cussing.
Mhm. Listen.
Oh my God. What encouraging words do you have for women that are listening now that have been through having abortions?
You know what? I think the one thing that I would want to encourage them to say, and just just being straight up, is to remember that that was a point in time in your life where you felt like you were making the best decision for yourself and for that child at that point in time.
Yes.
You have to get to a point into a place where you forgive the new you, because you're not that person that's on the table anymore. Yes, the mental component may still be there. Some of the emotional scars may be there, but you're not that person that's on the table. And until you make the conscious decision to get up off of the table, and what I mean by that is to take your spirit back from that
Yeah.
table, because anyone who has had an abortion will tell you that literally takes
Yeah.
everything out of your spirit. You have to go back to that place, take your spirit back, reclaim your identity, get your voice back, so that you can be the whole woman that you were created to be. And that's what it's all about: loving yourself, understanding that you are worthy. Regardless of what that decision was, you are still worthy. You are a woman. You were created to nurture and to love and to support and all those things like that. That event, I don't care if it was one time, two times, or even 20 times, those events don't define who you are. That's not you. So it's all about loving yourself, building yourself, supporting yourself. And if folks don't like you, tell them to go ahead. I don't care if it's family, friends, or foe. Because
Yeah.
the reality is they are draining you. They are draining you. They are keeping you on that table. So get up off the table and keep them moving.
Did you just say foe?
Folk. Look at here, look at here, look at here.
I mean, I'm just saying you be listening to Tupac, so I thought that hood part was coming out of you.
Okay. I think my time about ended right now.
Oh my Oh my God. So so Dr. April, let people know how to purchase No More Residue.
Absolutely. So you can pick up a copy of No More Residue at nomoresidue.com/April. Once again, that's nomoresidue.com/April. So yes, you can read all about it.
Yes. But you know what I've noticed? You want to do this, but you're doing it down here.
I am. I am. I try.
Oh my God. I mean, you fighting it too. You got a white jacket on and stuff. Be like, let her loose. Let her loose.
I know.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
I know. I know. I try.
Yes, well, thank you so much, Dr. April. I really enjoy our conversation and I love that you shared your testimony.
Once again, thank you so much for having me on your show, Yvette. It has been a pleasure and an amazing experience.
Thank you. Bye bye.